In this multi-part series, I'll guide you through the steps of building efficient, artist-focused tools that allow us to transform landscapes into linescapes using the power of Houdini and Unreal. In the first part, we'll learn how to exploit the Find Shortest Path node in Houdini to its fullest potential. And in part 2, we shift our focus over to Unreal, where we'll explore the Houdini Engine public API and blueprints and learn how to enhance Houdini digital assets inside the Unreal Engine environment, optimizing environment artists' workflows with splines, gizmos, and viewport interaction. To begin with, I'll show you the basics of the Find Shortest Path node in Houdini, and we'll look at how we can set up costs and correct input methods to create simple paths across the terrain. Then we'll discover how to use multiple user-defined waypoints and curves to create longer paths that travel through a series of destinations. Afterwards, we'll learn how to define and resolve multiple disconnected paths using the Find Shortest Path node, which will lay the groundwork for creating complex road networks. We'll advance our pathfinding algorithm with array-based costs instead of simple per-point costs, which allows us to produce more intricate paths, and which also allows us to introduce directional costs that allows us to further refine and complicate our pathfinding system with ascent costs, descent costs, and costs that change depending on the direction of travel. I'll help you develop a flexible setup that allows custom costs to also be incorporated alongside a set of default costs that the tool will be set up to use. Once we've finished our work in Houdini, we'll convert our graph into a Houdini digital asset, which we can use in other packages, in this case in Unreal. Before we go over to Unreal, we'll explore the tool's potential and flexibility by using it to generate a variety of different outcomes, including roads, tracks, paths, and rivers. In the second part of the series, we'll move our focus over to Unreal, and we'll learn the basics of converting Houdini splines into Unreal landscape splines in order to deform the terrain. I'll introduce you to the Scriptable Tools framework, editor utilities, and the Houdini Engine public API in Unreal blueprints. We'll learn how to handle tool sessions and how to deal with the peculiarities of Unreal landscape splines. We'll configure the Pathfinder HDA to support spline inputs directly from the Unreal scene, and I'll show you how to create gizmos in Unreal that allow the user to interactively modify the splines that have been created. We'll learn also how to extend the splines that we're creating and insert points on existing splines, as well as deleting spline points in order to create a fully functioning curve-based user input to our pathfinding tool. Finally, we'll transition our tools from the Whitebox environment into Ian's environment that he's created, which is another series released alongside this one for Project Pegasus, and we'll use the materials and landscapes that were created there in order to produce a finished result. The end goal of this entire approach is to empower technical artists to create tools that allow the users to enjoy the same degree of control that they would have directly inside of Houdini. And at the very end, finally, we'll take a look at how we can push ourselves one step further and create an advanced river tool, which is built also with Houdini Scriptable Tools and Unreal's water plugin. In this part of the tutorial series, we'll push HDAs beyond their limits to communicate with any system via Blueprint, ensuring a fast user experience, minimizing data throughput. My hope being that this will challenge you to expand your understanding through independent learning when it comes to more complex topics.